me. I'm not moving as fast as some people around here are.
You move fast enough for us. Nice to have you.
Oh, thanks. Okay. You can lock down. Yep.
We're gathered here to remember our fellow Elissians who are no longer with us. This is a very informal, non-denominational gathering, and we're not going to speak in alphabetical order. We don't have a roster of who's no longer with us, so it's on an individual basis. Whoever would like to remember somebody, make some comments, remembering them, and then we will ring the bell for that person and proceed. And when we've run out of people to so remember, we have a wreath that we will put overside, and then we can proceed with the rest of the day. But I want to turn this over to Muriel first.
Careful the cord.
Yes, sir.
Is everything. It's crossing the bar, which has to be in any service for our shipmates. There is a chorus, please join me. Sunset and evening star, and one last call for me. May there be no morning of the bar when I put out to sea. That's your part. When I put out to sea. When I put out to sea. May there be no morning of the bar when I put out to sea. For such a tide as morning seems asleep, too full for sound or foam. When that which is born from out the deep turns again home. Turns again home, turns again home. When that which is born from out the deep turns again home. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark. May there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. When I embark. When I embark. May there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though throughout our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. When I have crossed the bar. When I have crossed the bar. I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. Amen.
Amen.
I got choked up when I talked. I have to tell you, Steve's in the hospital, appendicitis. So the first person that we have to honor is Ann Hyman. I'm doing it for him. Could we have a strike on the bell, please? One more. Second, I'm going to do all mine. Harry Brown. Harry Brown was a committee member. We wouldn't have Pier 21 if it wasn't for Harry. James Erie was our chairman. He kept the evil forces away from us to get to New York. And Bill Williamson, I'm going to let Michael Cochran do. That's all. Who's next? Speak up, though.
All these faces. This is the second time I've done that. I want to speak on behalf of Susan Jackson. The last time I did was when we scattered her ashes in Galveston Bay. Susan was an amazing person. She was a nurse. She was a windsurfer. She was a rig crawler. She was a fabulous lady. She died way too young. Can we have a strike for Susan Jackson, please? Second person I want to talk about is, of course, Don Burkholz Jr., who was the first Elissa person I ever met. I met him in his brother's chart store. I came in and I said, "Where's the Elissa? I'm looking for the Elissa." And they said, "Well, she's down at the Duval Sulphur docks, but you can't go there." And I, to myself, I said, "Yes, I can." and Don became a close friend. Nancy and I were privileged to be with him just a month or so before he died. We visited him in the nursing home up in the hill country. And I will always remember him faithfully. And then also his father, Don Burkholz Sr., who everybody here knows was instrumental in our being here. So I guess I've taken 3 people. Who's next?
Don't be bashful.
I'll go.
I'd like to remember Max Risley. All Max wanted was one functioning kidney and to lead a halfway normal life, and I think Elissa gave him more than he could ever have hoped for. So could I have a bell for Max, please? And then somebody I actually do not know, but her parents, Bill and Carolyn Jinko, are volunteers on the Elissa, and they asked that we remember their daughter Elizabeth. So may I have a bill for Elizabeth, please? Okay, who's next?
I have several, but I'll only do 2. First, the first person that welcomed me to Isla as a member of his family and made it possible for me to stay in Galveston was Harris Kempner. And could we have a bell for Harris, please? And unfortunately, the other people that made me feel family in Galveston are also no longer with us, and that's Jack and Sally Wallace. And nobody knew how many rivets were in the Elissa when we started this project, except a guy named Bob Alderdice. And there you have it.
We're at a loss for words here. One of the people that was instrumental in making the project work, of course, was Bill Williamson. He was the guy that ran the Boys and Chubbs insurance stuff for us. I can tell you, that was quite the gig. So Bill was a gentleman and sort of a scholar in ways, but he was a tremendous asset to the Elissa. Bell was. So one of the most intimidating parts of the project was trying to keep track of the accounting. You have no idea, particularly with this group of people. So we had this fellow, his name was Gene. I regret that we can't recall his last name right now, but Gene was 80 years old and had a brilliant mathematical mind. And he could do with a pencil what today you can only do with a computer. And Gene was the kind of guy, she'd sit over in the corner and just working 8, 10 hours a day, trying to make sure that we had the accounts right up to date, because every month I had to schlep on up to Austin with all those accounts to get the money for the stuff that he had said that we spent. So he was a vital person in the execution of the project, and sort of one of those unseen fellows who just toiled away in the dark corners of the office. He was something. Who else do we have?
Hillary.
Hillary.
Oh, Hillary, yes.
Hillary Swan.
So, Hillary Swan?
Who's next? You.
Is Duffy still alive? Who? We don't know. We can't find him. My thought would be probably not.
Hi, I guess I want to honor John Maroney.
Oh,
Yeah, John
Are you
Maroney.
gonna? I love John
The
Maroney.
comedy man.
Yeah.
For all of us. And I
He
can't
was
say much more,
fabulous.
'cause I still miss him.
Oh,
Anyway, a good bell for John. I don't know.
how about Mark Herring? Mark
know
Herring.
all of you, many of
Carrie.
you know
What,
Charles.
is he standing next to you?
He was
Carrie.
such a huge heart and mentor
Yes.
to many of us, myself in particular. Had so many good times with him working on the ship. So a bell for Noe.
I didn't mean to do that through somebody's. Sorry, I didn't mean to
We've
do
heard
that through
about
your
the
thing.
people who have handled the money, the people who have had the vision. But ships also sail on their stomachs. I want to remember Josie O'Harla. And I want to remember Annie Dennison. Bless her heart, she gave us all clean towels when we'd forgotten ours.
My illicit years kind of all run together because there was a lot of them. And so I want to thank people that perhaps were not at part of the restoration but kept the dream alive. David Hyatt,
David
Bill
Hyatt?
Elliott,
What is she saying? Are you alive? What is she talking about?
Bill White,
Different Bill Elliott.
and David Perot.
I'm gonna say something.
I just want to say Hillary's name again, because she was a pretty integral part of
Smile.
More could be said, but I'll leave it at that. I know you guys probably don't remember or even know my brother Tommy Perani. Oh, look at that. My brother Tommy Perani, he volunteered a lot when we did fundraisers. He loved slinging beer across. He'd bring actual light bulbs with him. If somebody asked for a light beer, he'd just give them a light. You know, he just. So a bell for my brother Tom Perani, please. And then my cousin Patrick Penrose also did some carpentry work, and I miss them both dearly. What's his name? Still alive? Does anybody know about Duffy? Where Duffy?
We can't find him. We tried.
I love that man, and I hope I have a Bill Dredd shirt, and I'm wearing it today. And what about Mark Herring?
Can't find him.
Another lost soul.
Alive,
Well, they're not quite that lost yet. Oh.
We
I don't know if anybody else wants to speak, but I did want to say Hillary's name again.
This is you.
I loved her.
Walter?
We're going way back to the very beginning.
Who did I just have?
Peter Throckmorton,
Which one?
who first spotted and identified the ship as something so special. His partner in crime, Carl Cordham,
No, that was.
was instrumental in saving the ship. I would also like to remember I'd like to remember two of the captains who taught me so much. Carl Bowman,
He's passed?
who sailed the first 3 seasons, and Red Shannon.
Peter Throckmorton.
And I already mentioned Peter Throckmorton. And oh, it doesn't hurt to mention him again. Very kind of larger than life character.
do that.
And then I too would like to remember Noe.
Noe.
Yep. No. Howard, perhaps too. Can't forget Howard.
Yeah, I lost track of him. But Noe, Noe was just so good at everything he did. He had the highest retention of verbal instruction of anybody I've ever met. If you describe a project at like 13 steps, you just stand there saying, see. Then you go and do all of them. That's right. And then, of course, Don Sr., who worked so hard to translate ideas into beautiful drawings that were inspiration to look at from and work from. And then lastly, Don Jr., who was my partner for several years. We could tell Don stories forever.
Yeah, we could.
By the time he was hiring general laborers, augment the crew, I always asked, what was your last job? And somebody came up and said, I was a ballet dancer. And he didn't miss a beat. He just said, oh, yeah, great. Our ballet dancer just quit last week. And I remember working with Don the night before we sailed, the first time in '82. We were still trying to put this thing together. And both of us were up in the bosun's chairs by moonlight, bolting with main spreaders on at 1:30 in the morning. And a lot more stories like that. But he was really the like my right-hand man on the ship. And I do miss him, really. Anybody else? And do we have several Bill Elliots? There's a Bill Elliot here
Who's very much alive.
Still kicking. Yep, yep.
Another word about
I hope
Sally
it's not
and
prescient.
Jack Wallace. Sally was one of the most special people in the world. She always saw things squarely and truly. We used to call her, ironically, the late Sally Wallace, which she is now, because she was always late. Whatever meeting you had, Sally would come running in 15 minutes into the meeting. She and Jack saved a section of Henley Row long before GHF was a preservation organization.
Yeah.
by buying it herself. She and Jack together. So them. Harris Kempner, my fondest memory is when he invited George Brown of Brown and Root down for Thanksgiving. And while George was on this social call, he was taken out to Duval Sulphur, and his eyesight was failing, but he walked up to the welds on the Elissa to inspect them as only a master craftsman could, and he pronounced them good, and he got $200,000 from the Brown Foundation. And finally, two people we don't think of as crew, but who were. One is Jimmy Studebaker. Jimmy was the barbecue maker, the best brisket in Galveston. And one of my, probably my best party was when Alicia was coming in, and my wife and two girls took flight, and I decided to stay in our little bungalow in Fish Village, which had a swimming pool. And Bill George and Jimmy Studebaker and his son came over. Jimmy made brisket, and we did cannonballs into the water as the hurricane was approaching. Really great party. And then finally, Steve Long. Steve was many things. He's still in Houston running some type of a dude ranch. But his great contribution was soon after I got to Galveston, 74, 75, he led the public referendum to save Pier 19 from being taken over by cargo ships. And he established the principle that that area, and by extension Pier 22, would be open to the public. And that is incredibly important to the ship and to historic Galveston.
Sure is. Big thing.
Yeah, no bells for Steve.
Well, mine's a whole different view. Bill White, in '86, we were in some port, and we could put all our dirty laundry in a bag. Somebody was going ashore to do it. So I'm down below, and I'm lashing cots. I'm way over in the dark corner. And here comes somebody down. You're over here. And to himself, but out loud, "Oh good, nobody's around, I can change clothes." So, you know, what could I do but watch? And that was Bill White.
Oh boy. Photos were not in those days.
I want to remember two people that you probably didn't know. My mother, Mary Hicks, she would help in the galley even though she got terribly seasick. And she could always be counted on to be in the galley to help.
What was in the
and
soup?
Then my sister, Esther Hicks, was cerebral palsy, so she couldn't sail with us. But she would make yards and yards of baggy wrinkle. And she would sit and make baggy wrinkle. She would take it home to make baggy wrinkle, so that maybe she would get one day sail. And so thank you, ring the bell for Esther and Mary.
This side of it.
I don't know if anyone remembers Donna, who worked in the galley in '96, but I don't know her last name.
I did.
The bell for Donna. And John Lee Simons. A bell for John Lee. And I know we've already had a bell, but I just wanted to say how much I miss Don Burkholz. And he just touched so many people and allowed for things beyond Elissa to happen. And Mirwald wouldn't be sailing, I don't think, without his support and expertise. And he's just a wonderful soul. I miss him too.
So many people make such a difference in where Elissa is today, and would not be possible for what she is today without people like Mary Moody Northern.
Yes.
Please ring a bell. And I'd also like to say Noe again. Noe and Carrie and I, sometimes we'd go to the Henley Market and get a meatball Parmesan sub, and we'd split it sometimes, and he just was probably one of the most, had the most integrity of anybody I've known to this date, so, for Noe.
Yay. Remember that?
I'm going to try to choke my way through this. I really miss David Hyatt and David Perot. I'd like to mention Jack Leo, incredibly sunny young man who just brought joy to the ship whenever he showed up. And I'll leave you with a story about Bill White. We've heard about him before. Bill didn't talk. Bill never spoke at all. He just did his job. Except one day up in Beaumont, when the boat was beside the pier, and it was up there for part of a in-the-water boat show. And somebody went and hung a huge price tag for $9,999.99 off the stern. And we're walking away. I pointed out to him. He looks at me and he says, "Is that with the trailer?"
I've not been in touch as much as I'd like, but I did hear of the death of John Lee Simons of cancer a couple of years ago. John Lee actually did try to stay in touch with everyone. He never stopped smiling, and he worked his tail off on any boat he was ever on.
I don't know how many of you ever took part in a line chase. The fastest person I ever saw, and who always got it right, was Richard Brown in his wheelchair. Could I have a bell for Richard Brown?
Anybody else? Okay, oh, Michael?
Harry Brown.
I said Harry Brown. Harry Brown again. He's worth 2 bells anyway. So, Steve can't be here. I was gonna ask, he and Miss Ward, where are you?
Where did she go? She was here.
Who are you looking for?
Trisha.
Is she there?
Who are you looking for?
Trisha. There she is.
Trisha.
You can say that? It's there, you're gonna stroke over
That way?
into the water.
Okay.
Up by the bow.
Up this way? Oh, okay, Walter, you show me the way then.
And it's easy to do it up past that
That
orange
way?
ring up there.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why don't you just go?
Coast Guard doesn't
Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!
The camera's moving, you'd be really sad.
If I could be in big trouble. Violation of the Invasive Species Act, right? Yeah, really.
When it's my turn, just grab the cake. Good? Okay.
Steady as a go. Steady can.